Today's story is about a movie called Dumb Money, where we'll see how an ordinary guy becomes a billionaire overnight just by investing in the stock market. The story revolves around a man named Henry Gabe, the owner of H1, a company that invests money from small-time investors in the stock market. These are people looking to make quick money, but often their investments result in losses. Despite this, Gabe's net worth is a whopping $400 million. One day, he receives a call from his billionaire friend, Steve Cohen, who asks, "Did you hear that the market value of GameStop shares has gone above $100? This news leaves Gabe stunned, so he rushes to his office. There, he realizes that Cohen wasn't joking. Not only was the value skyrocketing, but many others had also invested in the stock, leaving everyone puzzled about how this happened. A little later, Gabe calls Cohen back to ask the reason behind this surge. Cohen explains that a guy named Henry, with a YouTube channel called Roaring Kitty, has entered the market. At this point, Henry and his channel are dominating the stock market scene. To understand this better, the story takes us back 6 months, where we see Henry traveling on the subway. Henry runs a YouTube channel called Roaring Kitty where he gives financial advice. He's on his way to meet his friend, Penny, who works on Wall Street. Penny warns Henry to stop investing in stocks or risk losing everything. Henry reveals that he has already invested $3,000 in stocks. This revelation shocks Penny, who didn't expect Henry to make such a move. He reminds Henry that he doesn't even own a house, lives in a rented apartment, and eats only one meal a day to save money. Penny mocks him for his financial decisions. Henry shows him his phone, which displays his $3,000 investment in a gaming company called GameStop. Penny bursts into laughter and even makes fun of Henry in front of a waitress, joking that he invested in a company no one has heard of. Henry laughs along and returns home, but we know he has something big planned. At this time, COVID-19 is at its peak and everything, including the stock market and businesses, is down. When Henry gets home, he quietly starts washing dishes. His wife, Clara, notices and asks if someone said something to him. Henry tells her that Penny mocked him for betting on GameStop instead of making a proper investment. Clara reassures him, saying, "Don't listen to others. Trust yourself. You know what GameStop is capable of in the future. Focus on your videos." Encouraged by Clara's words, Henry goes live on his channel. During the live stream, Henry shares his portfolio, showing his audience exactly which shares he has bought and sold. He openly tells his viewers, "I've invested $3,000 in GameStop shares. I believe in this company, and I think you should too. I want everyone to benefit." His video is watched by a nurse who, when questioned by a colleague about watching financial advice from a guy like Henry, responds, "This guy has 700,000 live viewers. He's not just anyone." Inspired, the nurse buys 700 shares of GameStop. Meanwhile, we see a young GameStop employee with a net worth of just $16 also buying shares after watching Henry's video. Many others start investing as well, and soon, GameStop stock value rises from $3 to $10. Henry excitedly tells his audience, "Look, the stock has gone up from $3 to $10. Together, we can make it the biggest stock out there. Share this video as much as possible." Unbeknownst to him, this live stream is about to change his life forever. Elsewhere, we see some rich college students having a house party. Among them is a girl named Harmony, who impulsively buys $22,000 worth of GameStop shares after a dare. This causes the stock price to rise to $14, the highest it has ever been in GameStop's history. Meanwhile, two billionaires, Gabe and Cohen, are discussing the situation. Cohen tells Gabe about the unprecedented rise in GameStop stock, and Gabe laughs, saying, "Have you seen the memes? People actually think they can get richer than us." Still, he decides to hold his position in the stock. Gabe's H1 fund invests $50 million in GameStop, securing a position in 50,000 shares. If the stock plummets, all the small investors' money will go straight into Gabe's pocket. When news breaks that H1's CEO has taken a massive position in GameStop, retail investors become furious. Social media erupts in a battle cry. "This time, we won't let our money go into their pockets. This time, we'll take their money." Henry, meanwhile, is overwhelmed by the support he's receiving. He sees the graph of GameStop stocks rise from $3 to $22 and thanks his audience, saying, "This year has been tough for me. I lost my sister to COVID. It's been the worst year of my life, but you guys have turned it around." His heartfelt words inspire the nurse to buy more shares, while Harmony discusses her $900 profit with her friend. Her friend advises her to sell, but Harmony refuses, explaining how her father lost his life savings to companies like H1. She vows not to make the same mistake. The scene cuts to Henry visiting his sister Sarah's grave. He was deeply attached to her, but lost her during the pandemic. The story then introduces two other key figures, Byjubot and Vlad Tenov, the CEOs of Robinhood, a company valued at $1 billion. Robinhood provides a platform for retail investors to easily trade stocks, much like Zerodha in India. Gabe and Cohen are seen playing badminton, where Gabe mentions his growing position in GameStop shares and predicts that retail investors will eventually lose everything. He laughs, saying, "Who's the fool buying these shares? In the end, all the money will come to us." Time passes, and the stock value of GameStop skyrockets to $65, spreading like wildfire across America. Still, only Henry's audience knows who's behind the surge. Henry's younger brother urges him to sell his shares for an $11 million profit. Even Clara advises him to sell, but Henry insists the stock will rise further. He urges his audience not to sell, saying, "Hold the line." The nurse, seeing her gains equal to 3 months of her salary, is tempted to sell, but she decides to hold, trusting Henry. Everyone is driven by greed, hoping the stock price will climb higher. One night, an anonymous post appears on Reddit, urging retail investors to hold their ground. The post reads, "This fight is between lions and mice. The lions are companies like H1, enjoying millions of dollars from our money. The mice are people like us who've invested our savings. GameStop is our chance to defeat the lions. Don't sell. Just wait." At night, Gabe heads to his room, where his wife asks how his day went and if he's stressed about the position he's holding in GameStop shares. Gabe replies that he plans to wait for a week. If the stock price rises further, he'll orchestrate a crash. Hearing this, his wife questions if what he's doing is even legal. Gabe explains that the CEO of GameStop has already declared bankruptcy, calling the investors foolish. He assures her that he won't lose a single penny. As the saying goes, when ego gets involved, things go south. The next day brings us back to the scene we saw at the beginning of the story. Gabe receives a call from Cohen, who tells him that GameStop's share price has crossed $100. Shocked, Gabe rushes to his office. When he looks at the charts, he finds that the share price has indeed skyrocketed to $113. Gabe is left speechless, as this has never happened before. Meanwhile, the buzz about GameStop is everywhere, and everyone is talking about it. At Henry's house, his family watches the news, and his wife, Clara, asks how much profit they made yesterday. Henry responds, "For $1 million. She then asks about today, and he says, "About $10 million. Stunned, Clara asks if they're now rich, but neither of them knows where to draw the line. On the other hand, Gabe's wife asks him how much they've lost. Gabe calculates on a piece of paper and shows her the number, $6.8 billion. It's an enormous loss, and his wife suggests asking their friends for help. Gabe first calls Cohen, who immediately guesses he needs cash and offers to help but advises Gabe to also approach Ken. Gabe contacts Ken, who agrees to invest in Gabe's company. News quickly spreads that companies like Citadel and 72 have heavily invested in H1 to stabilize its position. Gabe orchestrates this move to discourage retail investors from holding their shares, hoping to avoid further losses. Meanwhile, Henry's father learns that his son has become a millionaire. He can't believe it, but Henry's younger brother confirms it, saying that Henry now holds $25 million worth of shares. His father advises him to sell and enjoy the profit. However, Clara, being level-headed, supports Henry, insisting they should wait a little longer. Similarly, other retail investors face pressure from their families to sell, but most choose to hold. One day, something unexpected happens. The Reddit account that had been guiding everyone about GameStop is suddenly banned, leaving investors worried. Despite this, GameStop's stock price continues to climb, surpassing $350. The situation gets so intense that the White House issues a statement saying they're monitoring the situation closely to ensure nothing illegal is happening. Social media explodes with memes, and the more they spread, the higher the stock price climbs. Robinhood, the trading app used by 80% of the investors, also benefits significantly from this surge. One day, while Robinhood's CEO, Vlad Tenov, is partying, he receives a call informing him that the NSCC has issued a report demanding $3 billion in margin collateral. Vlad panics as Robinhood doesn't have the funds. If they fail to pay, the company will be shut down. Vlad decides to contact Citadel's CEO, who owns a stake in Robinhood. The next day, news breaks that GameStop stock, which had reached $450, suddenly plummets to $140. This drop is caused by Robinhood disabling the buy option for GameStop shares, preventing users from purchasing more. This creates panic among retail investors, who start selling their shares, driving the price down further. Robinhood faces backlash as rumors spread that they acted under pressure from Ken, who had recently invested in H1 and wanted to protect his position. People accuse Robinhood and Ken of manipulating the market, and angry investors flood social media with hate. Vlad is summoned for an interview where Elon Musk is also present. Musk directly questions him about why Robinhood disabled the buy option for GameStop shares. Vlad dodges the question, giving vague answers which only increases public outrage. Several people file lawsuits against Robinhood, accusing the company of deliberate manipulation. Meanwhile, Henry's supporters gather outside his house to show solidarity. Among them is someone who hands him a letter summoning him to a House of Representatives committee hearing for an investigation into the GameStop incident. Clara encourages Henry to hold his ground and keep his YouTube channel active. Soon, Robinhood re-enables the buy option for GameStop shares, causing a fresh wave of purchases. GameStop's stock price rises again, and the news catches Gabe and his wife's attention as they brace for the upcoming hearing. The story moves to February, where the hearing begins. The committee first questions Citadel's CEO, Ken, asking if he instructed Robinhood to halt trading on GameStop shares. Ken denies the accusation, claiming it was Robinhood's independent decision. Then, Gabe is questioned, but his answers are incoherent, and he loses his composure, drawing laughter from the audience. Next, Vlad Tenev is asked if he deliberately manipulated GameStop shares or abused his power. Vlad abruptly ends the live stream without answering, further damaging his credibility. Finally, it's Henry's turn. He shares his story of growing up in poverty, his love for learning, and how he couldn't afford education. From 2010 to 2017, he was unemployed, but he gradually developed an interest in trading. He started small, buying and selling shares, eventually building his expertise. One of the committee members asks if Henry had any insider information, which is illegal in trading. Henry responds, "Retail traders like me never have insider information. You say the stock market is a fair trade, but that's not true. The wealthy and powerful use their resources and insider knowledge to exploit the system, leaving small traders like us powerless." His speech receives a standing ovation, and the hearing ends. A few days later, Henry, now with immense profits, buys more GameStop shares and encourages his audience to do the same. Following the hearing, GameStop's market value doubles. The GameStop employee with a net worth of $36 becomes a millionaire, Harmony earns $200,000, and the nurse accumulates $500,000. By 2022, Gabe is forced to shut down H1 permanently due to massive losses. Meanwhile, Henry's net worth reaches $34 million by 2021, but he disappears from the public eye after that, with no one knowing where he went. The film concludes with real footage from the hearing, marking the end of the story. So, how did you like this story? Let us know in the comments. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace out.